It's such a joy to watch their faces. Hmm. Speaking of Reverend Frank Judici, I said, he went through the Bible metaphysically interpreting pretty quickly. And he always said, the central message of the Bible is, hang in there, Jesus is coming soon. So see, now you know. Now you know. And of course we know we're not talking about a person. We are talking about a spiritual principle inside of all of us, inside of all people. Some people are more tuned in to it than others. So, but that's not the topic of my talk. I was just thinking of Frank. Okay, the world's oldest person died this week at 117. The new oldest person, I think, is 113 or 14 and lives in Japan. Maria Branius was her name. She was born in California in 1907, 1 year after her parents immigrated from Spain. Okay, after how many years? I think she lived here. This would help. 8 years later, her family moved back to Spain, but her father didn't make it because he died of pulmonary tuberculosis while he was in the middle of the voyage. Maria lived through 2 world wars, the Spanish Civil War, the 1918 flu pandemic, and the COVID pandemic, and at 113 she got COVID. And she healed completely. Her youngest daughter said that her mother had never gone to the hospital and she had never had a broken bone. Pretty amazing. Maria is quoted as saying, "Never ever become a bitter person, no matter what." And then, as she was nearing her time of transition, she said this, "The time is near. Don't cry. I don't like tears. And above all, don't suffer for me. Wherever I go, I will be happy." So here's to Maria and the fantastic life that she lived. I'm reminded of a famous quote from Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, along with his wife Myrtle, who co-founded the Unity Movement. And Charles Fillmore was 94 when he said, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do those things that ought to be done by me." Wow, at 94. Sometimes I sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and sometimes, the bed feels like a magnet. And I don't necessarily spring forth, to do those things that ought to be done by me. And what are those things? What are those things? Well, for me, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing unless it's an act of service or an act of necessity. Sometimes we just have to do what needs to be done, and we have to suck it up and deal with it, as my sister's favorite mantra throughout her life. Just suck it up and deal with it. Okay. Okay. So I want to tell you a story. There was a elderly man who was retired, and he moved in the close vicinity of a junior high school. And it was one of these neighborhoods where, remember those old tin garbage cans with the lids? Okay, they set out all the time by the sidewalk. So this group of youngsters would come through, and they started banging every garbage can on their way home. Talk about enthusiasm. They were so enthusiastic to get out of school. Bang, 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 bang. And they did this every day. So the retired man, who really just wanted to live in peace, went out, and he said, "You know what? I just love your enthusiasm. I just love music. And I'll tell you what, I'll pay you $1, each one of you $1, to do this every day, while I used to do it myself when I was your age. So they all go, wow, that's fabulous. So every day he was out there and they bang, 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 bang. And after about a week and a half, he says, I'm so sorry, inflation is really bad. Groceries have gone up and I'm not able to pay you $1, but I'll pay you 50 cents. And they were kind of disappointed, but they said, okay. So they were out there banging and banging, and every day he'd hand them 50 cents. And then after about a week of that, he comes out and he says, you know, I'm sorry to say that my Social Security isn't what I need, and I'm going to have to lower your pay to 25 cents. And they were outraged. What? We're not going to waste our time for just 25 cents. We quit. And he lived in peace ever after. I think a lot with the aging comes the saging. Yes, right? And that was a beautiful way to teach and also to affirm. Charles Fillmore said when talking about zeal, he said, don't ever repress your zeal and don't let it run away with you. Guide your enthusiasm. Guide your enthusiasm. Don't let zeal run away with your judgment, like the dish ran away with the spoon, you know? So zeal is the impetus of life. It's what motivates us. So what are your passions? What are your passions? I have a passion for learning. I like to learn. I have a passion for shoes. I have a passion for lots of things. And whatever our passion is, that is what we will pursue. You know, the word enthusiasm, enthuse, is Greek and Latin in origin. En means in. And theos is God. So it literally means a God within. So when we are alive, alert, awake, and enthusiastic about something, that is expressing the divine with such a desire and a commitment. And it is a commitment. Something else interesting about the word zealous and jealous come from the same root word. And at one time, thousands of years ago, they were kind of similar in their meaning. However, zealous kind of evolved, and jealous means what it does. But when you think about jealous and zealous, isn't zealousness a type of jealous energy? You don't give up. You own that, and it's yours. And it motivates you, right? Interesting, when you start studying words, you get down to it, you know. I know many of you are artists and musicians, and I know that you are zealous about it most of the time, or you have been in the past. You can always count on Sabre. Oh, me. Okay. Charles Fillmore believed in reincarnation, and he taught about it. And he said something interesting. He said, genius, people who are geniuses, have lived many lifetimes. He said all of us have lived millions of lifetimes. I don't know where he got that information, but that was his belief, and that's what he said. Someone who has a passion and is enthusiastic for something in their life, and it could be gardening, it could be anything. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, they have been focused with zeal and enthusiasm on one particular thing. Above others, I'm sure there are multiple, but one thing. For Sylvia, it's singing. See, I can look at your faces and kind of know. He said Mozart, at age 4, played the organ without any instruction whatsoever. As soon as he was big enough to sit in the chair and his hands to reach it, he knew what to do. And he said that's from lifetimes of playing the organ and music. So we come here to give our gifts, whatever they are. Whatever makes you alive, alert, awake, and enthusiastic is your gift. Give it. Give it with great joy. Give it with confidence. And don't hold back. We are all here to be a blessing for each other. And that we are. And I enthusiastically affirm that. I think that's it.